Let me switch part. The boys are
Yes,
back. How you,
sir. Yes,
Chris?
sir. Could as I'm not as full as I thought I'd be, but we'll make do with pizza. So yeah, a win's a win. How you doing?
Good myself, good myself. The Dan Carters of podcasting here to give you our
Mm-hmm.
opinions, our flagrant takes. And
Yeah,
yeah, just some church announcements. You can find us here, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, leave your opinions as well. Especially around the news of the day.
yeah.
Box squad announced. I think it's also, if we're being honest, the game this past weekend wasn't that great. It wasn't that exciting.
It wasn't.
Conversely, you've got a box squad now that's been announced that has a lot of excitement.
Yeah, yeah. Look, it looks like, especially the backline that they picked, it looks like it's threatening to be
Yeah.
an exciting game. But it's all going to come down to the pack and the control of our breakdowns. You know,
Yeah.
um, I think that's really where the difference is going to come in, so we can get that fluidity, so that Grant can play, Limani can do his thing, and put the other guys into space, because you've got some big hitters
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it
So
was it was a very forward dominated game this past weekend, but
mm,
we will go over that. Let's go over the team first. You've got Thomas Dutoy, Malcolm
yeah,
Marks, low there. That's heavy duty front row there.
continuity,
We've got
yeah,
our favorite captain of all time, Murat.
yeah,
Nokia's in there. Sarcasm, if you can't tell. Van Staden he returns in the number six jersey. That one also, I don't know. We'll talk about the performance. Peter Steff is back. Visa is back again. Grant Williams, good to see him. We haven't seen him for a while.
yeah,
Lebok hopefully gets the back line going. Mapimpi, he returns to his old stomping
his
ground. Then
hometown.
we've got
Mm,
Esterhazen, Moody at 13 again, something to be excited about.
yes,
Edwill, something to be excited about. You've got Willie with his 100th game.
mhm,
Vessels being tested out at hooker. Ox and Klabakanye, something exciting debut.
mhm,
Cobus Visa, another one exciting debut. Rose on the
yeah,
bench. Reinach, Sasha, and then another one, Ethan Hooker, making
yeah.
his test
I'm
debut.
excited. Yeah, I'm excited. Look, for the debutants, especially Tlabaganye, Visa, and more than anyone, Ethan Hooker. I think he's done so well for the Sharks.
Yeah,
So good to see him finally. Now he can wear the blazer. Instead of carrying it.
yeah,
But yeah, overall, I think again, it's you expecting the box to win. You know, expecting the box to
yeah.
win to get the job done. And to be better than what they were last week. There were some good things in little bits. In
Yeah.
terms of like the strike play for Kurt Lee's try. The scrum when it mattered. We got that try for Van der Berg, but
Yeah.
yeah, overall, these guys, I think they're gonna have to lift it. I think there's gonna be a big, big, big focus on the pack. And trying to secure the ball, generate that quick ball, getting over the advantage line so that the backs can
Out of
play.
For me, I'm going in the opposite direction to say the game was this past weekend majority forward based. It's
Yeah,
and they got the momentum. Uh, you look at Morné van der Berg, he directed them well, offset piece especially to again put them in a place where Dielendi could have that little kick for Creel. It's almost like the same as what he did before the week before, working the 2-on-2. So there's a little kick on the
yes,
edge there. Faf also when he came on, moving the forwards, getting the go forward ball, offset piece.
mm,
That's how you got Van Staden try. So for me, like that's what we've seen this past weekend. Looking forward to this coming weekend, I'm looking to see something different because it was a
yeah,
forward dominated game. It was very boring. The backline didn't really get going.
no,
I'm not going to point fingers and say it's Pollard, but the backline didn't really get going in the way you would have liked to. I felt like they were almost getting the ball. It's funny because they're getting go forward through the forwards, but when the backs did get the ball, it was like it was behind the game line.
Yeah,
and
and
it's
too much drifting.
yeah, it just wasn't looking, right. It just wasn't looking like they
Yeah,
were stepping onto the ball to do something. The only time that they did was when they ran it back for Chituka's try, which was ruled out. That was the only
yeah,
time where you're seeing them now moving onto the ball. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna expect the same kind of forward dominance, but I just don't want the ball to get caught up there like it was this
yeah,
past week. Like, let's see
yeah.
something a bit different. Although I think it's the game plan, and for some reason I think that's what they were trying to test out.
Yeah, look, and at the same time, I was thinking about it to say that, you know, the guys, if you looked at last week, what the comments that are coming out of camp was that it's been one of the toughest um, uh, camps that they've been in. So I think there's also an element of that in terms of from a that flatness for me, talking about like especially that second half where they just looked a bit flat. There's that, but then there's also I think they're not trying to show their hand too much. Is because that was just a basic game plan that they were playing over the
Yeah,
weekend. Just looking at the forward dominance. Yes, the little the strike move from the line out or those wraparounds or those loops from the lineouts that they were trying. We saw more of that. We didn't really see. I think we only saw one more attempt in the first half from the box. We didn't really see too much mauling from them in that regard. Um, but yeah, you want to see more ball movement. But again, quarters, it's going to come down to how they control the how they control our own breakdown. There were times when we were, like you said, we are getting that momentum, and then just the execution. So I don't think they'll be too happy with, the lack of precision at times going into the 22. Especially
yeah,
after they got that first try. And I don't think the Boks were operating at full tilt. Because Italy, like I said last week, they are going to come and disrupt. And credit to them, they came there, they manned up physically on defense.
yeah,
They manned up with their intensity at the breakdown, and looking to disrupt on the ground. And yeah, look, they got duly punished for it with that yellow card to
yeah,
early on, but you have to give them credit in terms of what they were trying to do. But then again, let's sort of say it's for me, it's still almost preseason for the Boks, because yeah, man, it's Italy, it's Georgia, the big ones are
yeah.
coming, and we need to make sure the fundamentals are in place. So I won't I won't really like slam too much, slam the guys too much. Yeah, this that because like I say, I just feel like it's because of where they are as a group right now in terms of
Yeah,
preseason. And I say that inverted Bok preseason, so
yeah.
yeah, man.
Me, I'm sorry. I don't take it as a preseason. I take it
Yeah.
as these people paid their good, well-earned money to be entertained, and there's no entertainment value. Springbok ticket prices have been a thing, but then you come out and you play the way that you did. I'm not
Yeah,
happy with the game plan that they're going with at the moment, but I guess we'll see if it looks a bit different with Mani there. I mean, it did against the Barbarians, and we'll
I
see
think
if
it
it
will
looks a bit
with
different
Grant there as
with.
well.
Yeah, I was about to say that in the center pairing, and of course, guys like Ed will exciting player. He'll be wanting to put on something. Yeah,
Yeah,
and the debuts it adds to the excitement. So yeah, I'm. It will be more entertaining. It will be more entertaining,
should
and
be.
I'm expecting more of a running dynamic. Murat at
Yeah,
captain is. How do you feel about that, especially coming from Jesse Creel getting his first cap as captain? Now we're going back to Murat because I think it's somewhat of a surprise in that I didn't even know he was fit.
no, look, he's been captain before. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And look, we we raised our eyebrows before to say, hey man, But for me, all I'm saying is the way that he finished sort of the back end of the Stormers season,
yeah,
we're starting to see, that we're starting to see the things that we wanted from him for the big from him as
yeah,
a big unit. He was leading his team or leading them well. So I'm not too aggrieved by that. All I'm saying is he's got to not deliver. If you know what I
yeah,
mean, he's got to not deliver because we saw Etzebeth. They've peeped his game. He's getting pummeled almost every single game that he's played. The guys have they've watched the tape. They double hitting
yeah,
him, and like I said last week, we can't play those guys into the ground. and there's got to be other guys that have to step up. And Moerat, this is a game for him to show that, because we know Italy are going to want to come with that physicality again.
Yeah.
We need an enforcer that's going to come in, set things straight, allow the pack to follow and give the platform, so that we can play.
Yeah.
We can play and we can see like the different things that we're expecting, looking at the type of backline and the type of team that's been selected. So I'm not too aggrieved, Koda's, honestly. Let's give him a shot, man. Give him a shot.
Yeah, we'll see. He was coming with some big carries there end of the season. But
Yeah,
before we deep dive into the game, other news: Bulls announcing some signings. They've got
hey,
Ori, they've got Serfontein, they've got Janse van Rensburg, De Vet, and also Rudolph. Some of these signings, they're up there in age, over 30s,
yeah,
but they'll bring experience and yeah, like
yes,
the R's, the Serfontains, the Janse van Rensburg, these are Box. Pollard, we already know he's been
yeah,
announced. So
yeah. I think
yeah,
this
and
is all part of that.
Aronson also re-signing after Jake leaves. So which is also something that is like, yeah, no, he's asking, is he still there? Is he still okay?
Yeah.
No, I'll come back.
Yeah, so now it that raises eyebrows, because
Yeah,
once the guy leaves, then Orange is like, okay, no, I can sign now, so there must be something, there must be a backstory there, I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
But I think with the Bulls, look, it's like they're bringing the old band together, they're trying to, bring all the guys that were, once touted to be, especially there at Loftus, your Serpentines, and look.
yeah.
At that time, yeah, he was hot for the Bulls, so
At
we
the
don't know
time,
now. Yeah, we don't know now what it's going to look like going forward. But I think in terms of, for the sort of a broader picture, in competing in those in the Champions Cup, Challenge Cup, Euro C, I think maybe that's the idea. You've got more experienced guys. Look, the pudding is still yet to be prepared, so we will see. Once that gets
yeah.
dished up, what that's going to look like. But good on them. At least they're trying to make some moves, trying to bolster their squad depth and experience, rather. Especially the experience from overseas. So
Yeah, this is
yeah,
what Jake White was calling for, but it now
yeah,
arrives as is departed. So we'll see if the new coach, how these guys will be implemented and
yeah,
sort of how they'll
yeah.
look going forward. But
Mm,
yeah,
mm, mm,
let's deep dive into this Bok game. Just the
mm-hmm.
backdrop, Chituka, his debut, like I said, Creel, his first time being captain, and it counts, not fake captain. We had
Yeah,
Etzebeth back, Luet back, Visa back. Fair Flight retained his place. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about New Zealand and France sending over a B team. Italy as well. It was a weaker team or a younger team or a rotated team, whichever take you want to
yeah,
have on it. There are three guys on the
yes,
bench making their debut. So I mean it's also for them a new start. Um yeah, like I said, it's what can we really take away from this game? It's just that we can always rely on the forward dominance. Set
yeah.
piece in the first half was good. Morné Vandenberg got a 9.5 out of 10 rating by some sites, and he was man of the match. Although, I mean, spectators didn't necessarily view it that way. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, look, in terms of him being man of the match, I think, Kurt Lee for me, in terms of there were some big plays that he made, crucial plays,
Yeah,
that try saver there in the corner, so and even his try that he scored, the pressure that he was putting with the kick chase, yeah, I'm a bit. Look, I don't think Van der Berg was really like man of the match. Yeah, because he scored two tries, cool. But the first one was off the back of the forwards. Really, that was
yeah, that
just the
should that
Visa's
that could
try.
have been a penalty try. That he
Yeah,
stole that one was a penalty. If it was a penalty try, basically.
yeah. You see, so he stole that one, and then you're looking at what you call it, that second try that he scored as well. Okay, yeah, good play. Reading the defense. It helped that Kobe
Again,
was
off a
running.
scrum, so it's
Yeah.
kind of
So you see, so for me, yeah, not really. That's why I say, Kirtley for me had a bigger impact than him,
yeah.
so Kirtley was my man of the match. But look, decent game, tidy game from Van der Berg. I think, there's still a lot more to improve on in terms of. I think at times it was a bit too erratic.
Yeah.
It was a bit too erratic. It wasn't helped by the fact that the disruption at the breakdown. Whenever there wasn't those disruptions at the breakdown, it was easy. It was on a platter. You could do whatever you wanted. So yeah, like I say, solid enough performance from him.
Yeah, for me, I see him just as a guy that the coaches like because he just implements what they want. Uh,
Yeah,
the
I
kicks, he
don't
had
like
good.
my number nine too much carrying the ball. You know what I mean? He must be
Yeah,
dishing instead of taking it in up. But I guess he's an outlet in some way. But it's a very risky. For that. I don't like that for me personally.
yeah,
Nine must dish, man. He must just dish. And if you snipe like he did for that second try, make
yeah,
sure that you score, and he did. So those sort of things. I think yeah, he'll get better decision making at game time. He's just one of those guys. But the real
yeah.
starter is back now. The
Yeah, this is
Premier
the real
Nine,
starter. This is
the
the real
Premier Nine is
starter.
back now this
Yeah.
weekend.
And another fan favorite, which Morné van den Berg isn't. And I think he'll
Yeah,
continue to not be a fan favorite, and he'll be remembered for the missed kick there where he kicked the ref. Like,
yeah. Even
even
that,
he'll be remembered for
decision
it.
making.
Yeah, other things from the box, scrum dominance in the first half. Lineouts good as well. They built offset piece. Chituka,
Yeah.
he was everywhere. He's like
Yes.
for me, he's like Mostert, but a bit bigger. And it's also
Yeah.
like, they kind of fulfill the same role where they're in lineouts, they're carrying, they're everywhere during the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, you saw that there where I think there's close to the end there where he made that crucial steal to prevent a try being scored
Yeah.
under the sticks. So that was, I think, that epitomized his work rate. But then, as much as yes, the lineup was good, there were moments there where it wasn't functioning optimally in the second half.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's something I wanted to get on later, where we have this whole fireworks going off for the bomb squad, which I don't know, I feel
it
like it's a
didn't
bit
bomb.
much. It's a
It
bit,
didn't
I
bomb.
don't know. The bomb, it's becoming they've jumped the shark. It's now becoming a spectacle where you're bringing on
Yeah.
these guys, and especially when they don't deliver. You had Bongi, hey, not the best cameo appearance from him. You had Vessels, who I still feel is struggling at
He
scrum
is.
time internationally.
He is.
Yeah, so the lineouts they didn't go well when the bomb squad came on. The scrums they also didn't go. I mean, there was times where they did get bailed out. They got free kicks, they got penalties, but some of them I felt were undeserved.
He is.
And like you said, the mauls. I mean, I'm sorry, the rucks. There was just a lot of disruption once those guys came in. You saw the ball got hooked back for that other try. Maul
Yeah.
defense. It
It
wasn't
wasn't
good
there.
in terms of the subs coming on.
Yeah, I was just like, what the WTF, Oaks, like, come on, you can't get mauled in at Loftus, and they score more try. Like for me, from like the 60-minute mark, Italy was starting to look like the Boks themselves, the
Yeah,
the tempo that they were playing, the momentum that they had, and that was when they scored that more try. Well, actually, it was first the try saver from Quickly, but then they came back, they got that
yeah.
more try, you know. And then even then they got that breakdown turnover, staying on their feet. So those little things, or the takeaways for me, is from the box is, there's certain soft moments that you cannot allow. Where
Yeah,
in bigger tests, crucial games, it's going to hurt you because if we're being honest, that scoreline almost flattered the box a bit. Because Italy was starting to feel confident, like, okay, maybe we can get something out of this, even though they weren't. But
mm,
they would have thought, that okay, maybe they have a chance, because they certainly didn't. They didn't die wondering, they really didn't die wondering.
yeah, yeah. Again, it's what to take away from this game is that we can still dominate up front when we have to,
Yeah,
but in terms of everything else, backline didn't really get going.
yeah,
Willems,
no
uh,
impetus.
Willems, he had the breaks here and there, but the competition there between Willie, Fassi, and you know,
Look, Willemse is for me. Willemse is your number 115 because Willie is Willie, there's people that are being sunsetted. You know, that's the thing we mustn't forget.
Yes, and
There's
that's what
people
I'm going to. So who are those players actually?
that are being sunsetted.
Yes.
I believe Willie is one of them is going to be sunsetted. I think Mostert is going to be on the list as well because we've got other guys that can come in and do a similar job. I think,
Yeah.
look, right now, I think it's too early to even think about it's a bit being sunsetted. But the thing
Nah, yeah,
is,
you
like I
can't.
said, you can't play him into the ground because he's such a crucial guy going forward. I think the head boy of the country. He's still got a little bit more to offer as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, you'd think I'm bordering. The thing is, it's all going to be dependent on whether or not the Jan Hendrik Wessels experiment is going to work out. But if Bongi doesn't also
Nah,
jack up,
I think he still got it in the tank, and Vessels, I don't think is good enough. I don't think we have a hooker that can come
yeah,
in and step up and make a difference.
yeah. There's that. Who's that guy? Manus van der Merwe. I think there's guys that are in the wings that they're trying to see.
Yeah, but yeah, they're
So
trying to see, but yeah, the top dog. I think top dog still has it. Koch,
yeah,
there's a lot of competition at prop.
yes,
Guys
there's
are
a lot of
looking at
competition
him
there.
as one of the guys that's on his way out. I can't really say. For me, I still believe Willie has value. I still believe he has value. I know he's one that's is more on the side of being sunsetted. I don't know. I still think these guys have value. I mean, Faf even
Look,
came in and he looks like another one that they did disregard for a large part of last season and he's back.
until Jaden Hendricks who was dishing up the performances that he was dishing up, and it gave him, the look back in Faf,
Yeah.
but I think even him, because you must remember there's going to be younger guys, they stronger, these guys are fresher, they're going to be more hungrier, and I'm talking about opposition. I'm not even talking about within the camp,
Yeah.
so that's why I feel, guys, yes, Vili still got a lot to offer. They certainly they do have a lot to offer, but from a physical perspective, and the way that the Springboks play, I think you are going to start seeing a change, in God, because I think, yeah, he's working towards that, so that at any
Yeah.
given stage, if he needs to call on the veterans can still deliver for him, but also the newer guys that are less capped, they can also do a job, So yeah, I think yeah, Willems are definitely your 15. Willie is still in the mix, but then Fassi is very much your backup. And I say this because what we saw on the weekend, Willems shifted to 12. So in
Yeah.
those situations, I can definitely see a backline where Willems is at 12 and Fassi is at 15. I think we might see that at some stage as well. So I'm thinking in terms of that as well. So yeah,
Yeah, another one, Pollard. I think they'll just keep him again. It's kind of the thing of like,
yes,
who else are you gonna bring in? And then there's that thing that he's got the BMT, but I don't see him featuring to the same extent that he has over the past few years. It's gonna be Sasha's game for the majority of it.
it's got to be. Well, not. I know we saying Sasha. I think Libok. Don't forget Libok. Libok dark
Yeah,
horse for me. If he can keep on, just keep that momentum and keep his confidence, then I don't see why Libok couldn't be your number
yeah,
one. Why he couldn't be your number one whilst the youngster is still finding his bearings again. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see this weekend. I think we're going to see a lot of that this weekend where we'll see how that sort of combination is going to work with Lebok and Sasha. Lebok starting Sasha on the bench, you know. But then going forward, I think probably if you had to see, Lebok starting, you might see in a bigger test match, maybe if Lebok is not starting, Sasha is starting, you might see a Pollard on the bench, to close, being to come in and close
yeah.
games out, depending on what the approach would be. So there's still a lot that needs to happen, So right now we're just all speculating, really.
Yeah, I think Van Staden as well. I think people were maybe harsher on him than what I thought. I thought he was decent, especially in the first half. Second half fell off a bit, but he did get the try. I think that's another area where straight swap him and Kolisi, you're gonna be looking at who can compete there with the older guys. So
Yeah.
it's another area.
Yeah, I think he was solid enough on the weekend. I think he's a type like we'll see again this coming weekend. Because it'll be I think it's a two starts now. It'll be back to back starts. This past weekend and this coming weekend. I
It's
think
three. I think it's three because
there's
he
a
played
three
against the
now.
Barbers. Yeah.
Played against the Barbers as well. So I think we should see an improvement definitely this coming weekend. Otherwise, if we don't, then there'll be definitely questions. But I don't agree with the guys coming for him. With the daggers, I think Escom is he's got the light still on.
Yeah. Any closing remarks from you? I'm just looking for more entertainment this week. It is a more
Yeah, look
exciting
at
squad.
yes. Yeah, I think really that's really what it is. We all want that entertainment factor. But for me, like I'm saying, quarters, I really believe because of the training that they've been doing, and that's why I say yes, it is test match season, yes, but I think for the Boks, they currently in that preseason for in terms of
Yeah.
their tournament look building up to the rugby championship. So you will see better, but the real rugby is going to start in August. So let's
And
just
that's
rack up the wins.
yeah, that's also the issue for me is that it's been hard week on week to find out what are we learning from this? What are we taking away? The Barbarians obviously ill-prepared side. We dominated up
Mm-hmm.
front, got it done again. This game dominated up front. That's kind of about it. Second half it
Yeah,
fell out a bit. I'm
yeah,
enjoying Luet. I'm enjoying seeing Luet back. I forgot how good he was, and
yes,
especially like it's something that we didn't mention that when he came off the lineouts also went badly. It's not just your hooker being
yes.
replaced. So I mean, yeah, takeaways. I'm just looking to see if we're gonna get more takeaways. The guys that are gonna now come in, if they're gonna adjust. And Klabakanye, is he gonna assimilate the same way that Chutuka did? Is
Yeah.
Visa gonna do it? And I'm confident they will. Is Hooker gonna do it? I'm confident they will. So
Yes.
hopefully
Yes.
there's more to take away from this than just the
For
box can still bully you up front.
yeah, and for me, the takeaways, it's the work-ons. It's the things like okay, they know breakdowns. They're attacking breakdowns. They need to be a bit more accurate on that, being more clinical. When they're in the 22, and just managing the ball a bit better. Which I think they sort of they dropped the standard a bit there in that regard. Just bringing up that element of ruthlessness.
Yeah,
That's those. I think for them, those are going to be the big, and I think it's going to be about the personal pride quarters because they got mauled, for a try at Loftus. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So there's definitely going to be a bit more edge, I believe, where we'll see that, yeah, they'll bully you, and this time they're going to do it right. It's because Italy, we're in that fight all the way,
yeah,
all the way. I mean, how often do you see a Box test match ending with the Box in their own 22? You know,
yeah,
being fair, so yeah, but like I say, I still feel preseason vibes. Yes, test season. We'll take the pizza. I thought we
yeah.
were gonna have pasta, so I think now I'm just gonna settle for a pizza, So
Me, I'm
yeah,
just
man.
hoping Murat, please don't get injured first 10 minutes. We don't want to we
Yes,
just don't get injured first 10 minutes. We don't want
yes,
to see that
please,
again. And again, you talk
please.
about players being sunsetted. Creel becoming captain now. Hey, his position is kind of
Look,
I know he's injured at the moment, but I mean we're talking
yeah,
about I think Creel being captain signifies a new direction that we're going in. Murat again bringing a new direction that we're going in. So
yeah.
hey, he's just another one to note there in terms of being sunsetted.
Yeah, look, look, credit to Jesse Krill. He fought hard to maintain his position in there. Once he got his chance, there were again. I don't know how many times we'll need to say this. Is that we call it out. If we're not happy with certain things, and we saw the improvements, we saw the changes. We saw
Yeah,
what we wanted to see, and now it's going to be very hard to unseat him. And actually, even in a broader perspective, finding the next 12, 13 combination, that's the mission now because these
yeah,
guys, they also, they're also not young any as what they were. They've built that combination, that chemistry for so long. And there's going to come a time where things are going to change, so So yeah, but hey, it was going to be difficult for Daluk to get back in there, you know. So
Yeah, I think that's it from us, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Just
no,
hope,
yeah, yeah,
just hoping for more excitement. Just hoping for more
yeah,
excitement.
man. We need some pasta, some macaroni, not just pizza. You know what I mean? Pizza's boring, man. You know what I mean? Like, need some, you know. Come on.